For quite some time, I've wanted to do a video comparing Fatwood that I have and I've obtained from different parts of the United States to see what area produces the best Fatwood. So what I have here today is 5 different samples of Fatwood reaching from Vermont all the way to Texas. Let's see which one I think is the first example of Fatwood. This is, I bought, I think a year ago, off of an eBay site. I typed in Fatwood, and of course there's lots of sellers on eBay of Fatwood. This particular Fatwood said that it was Georgia pine, and I believe the box, it was a medium-sized postal UPS box. It was packed full, and it was $20. That included shipping. This stuff is really resinous. As a matter of fact, I've used it for a lot of my fire starters. That when I scraped it into Maya dust to use for fire starters, mostly where this came from. So this is, you can see it's heavily resonated. And I'll do a test when I get done showing the close-ups on everybody's Fatwood here. But this was billed and came from Georgia. And it was just built as Southern Georgia pine. Didn't say what treat came from or anything else. It was just a medium-sized USPS box, and it was $20 included shipping. That was a deal and a half. Moving on, this, and it's kind of funny, we've been calling this sweet potatoes. The way Howard from Cabot Bluegill chopped these branches off, and the way he kind of left the marks of the axe or whatever it was he was using, it makes it look like it's a sweet potato. Also, the coloring of it, it just vaguely reminded us, we were laughing, my son and I, we thought it looked like sweet potatoes. It does have a different appearance than all the other Fatwood. Not sure how to describe it. More of a dusty orange, maybe, rather than an orangey. The difference of this amongst all of the other Fatwood, it doesn't have a smell like turpentine. It smells like a pine tree when you cut a pine tree, but not that really potent piney turpentine smell. It doesn't smell like that. It smells just like a fresh cut pine tree, and it burns very well, which we'll get to when I do the test video. So that's from Vermont, and like I said, the appearance of it, it is different in appearance when you look across at the other ones that I have here. Like I said, it's more of a, almost like a dusty orange color. Moving on, this is Texas Fatwood from John Capps. And you can see right off the bat, very resonated. And this is just a chunk of, it's even got something dripped on it right there. It's a chunk right off of a log or whatever. But it is really full of, I mean, you can see it, really full of resin. This one, probably the most resonated of all the wood that I have here. And that was sent to me from John Capps in Texas. It smells like, it does smell like turpentine, but not a very strong smell. It's faint, really. Okay, moving on to this one. This is from Pine Fire. Everybody knows Pine Fire. Michael and Casey from Pine Fire. I've been a customer of his for a while now, and I just had ordered more of it for my son and myself. This is just a random chunk out of the bag. Heavy resonation on this stuff, and the smell is very strong. Very strong. This has the strongest smell of any of the Fatwood that I have here currently. And Michael's from North Carolina. This stuff, the first time I ever ordered Fatwood, and this came in the mail, I smelled the box when I opened up my mailbox. That's how strong the smell is on Pine Fire's Fatwood. And like I said, very heavy resonation. And then lastly, I call this big box Fatwood. And this particular bag I had gotten from Randy Johnson. He said he got it from Menards, and I don't have a Menards, and you can't mail order this. The closest thing I came to this, I found a bag almost identical to this at our Home Depot, and they jacked up the price on it. It was I think a $6 price on a 4-pound bag. This is a 4-pound bag, and Randy said he thought it was somewhere around $4 or $5 when he bought it. And he's had it for a while. And then what's in it, it looks like it's really dry. That's the first impression I get from looking at this Fatwood. Now, it's identical to the stuff that I got from Home Depot. It's also identical to the stuff from Walmart. They all seem to be the same size. They all have this really sharp cut end. I don't know the process used to make it, and I tried to find out where it came from. And the most I could get was that they call this 100% reclaimed silvicultural fiber. So, yeah, that's an interesting pile of words. I had heard that down in South America, when they were cutting down trees and they did logging, that there was a lot of these resin-filled pine trees down there, and that they would take and reclaim the stumps of these trees and make this. I can tell you it burns pretty good, even though it looks like it's dry as hell. It is very, very heavy resonated, and it does burn. So we'll get to the burn test on this. The smell, doesn't smell. The smell's gone on to this one. The one that I just got from Home Depot, you can smell it. It's a faint pine smell, the turpentine smell. It does have that turpentine smell. So that's the 3 or the 5 of them that I'm going to compare. And this, I call it parts unknown. This is big box Fatwood. This is Pine Fire from North Carolina. This is John Capps' Fatwood from Texas. Cabot Bluegill from Vermont. And a eBay seller selling Georgia Pine Fatwood. Now I've gone through each one of these pieces of Fatwood, and I've gotten some scrapings, and there it is, and I've got a little stick from each one. And I did notice something right away that sort of surprised me. This is the Vermont. This is Georgia Pine. This is Vermont. This is Texas. Pine Fire. And lastly, big box. Now, I don't know if you noticed it, but the one with the darkest color is the big box store, which I found odd. The second thing about that that's odd is I think that was the stickiest one when I scraped it, which I found very odd because I had said that one appeared to be dried out. Now, I got a little splinter off of each piece with a pile of Maya dust, Fatwood shavings, to test each one on how they burn. But as far as the color goes, this one from Georgia has a typical kind of an orangey color to it. Moving on to Cabot Bluegills, his also looks, they're almost identical in color, I would say. The orangey, maybe a little lighter on Cabot Bluegills, a little lighter on the orangey color. Then you go over here to John Capps, and his is barely orange at all. It's a yellow color, which is noticeable right away. Yeah, you can see it's orangey. And you come over here, and his is definitely yellow. But that's not so surprising, because then you come over here to Pine Fire, and his is even paler. It's an even paler color of yellow. And then, like I said, go all the way down here to the big box store, and that is really a dark, dark color. Burnt orange, if you will. So that was kind of surprising, the different colors. And I mean, I'll take this piece from the big box store, and I'll put it over here next to Pine Fire, and you can see together, side by side, they look very similar as far as how dark they are. But like I said, once I scraped them, they came off different. And you can see where I scraped them. I tried to do it right on the where I saw the resin area, like right on the strip, because I didn't want anybody to say, oh, that's yellow because you scraped it over here on the light part. Nope, right there. You can see where I scraped it with my knife. I scraped it right on the resin area. Same with all of them. There's the right on the resin. You see where I scraped it, and even all the way down here to this one. Now, in fairness, this one's in the darkness a little bit, but you can see that it is an orange color. So the next step is going to be to burn each one of these little piles and see how they burn. So let's get set up for that. So in fairness, I'm using my huge monster ferro rod that I got from Nathan for 701, and the first pile I'm trying out is the shavings from the eBay seller, and it's just called Georgia Pine. So let's see how this one goes. Ooh-wee, and that went right up quickly. It's not the fault of the Fatwood that it didn't start. It was that I was trying to get a good purchase on the ferro rod, so I would have said that was, 1 or 2 strikes got that going. Now it's got the typical black smoke, Although, I don't know if this camera will show it. Maybe not. It is black smoke, but it's not as black as I've seen before. As it comes up, it's dissipating quickly. But there you can see it's nice black smoke, which is indication of the resin. And then, to be fair, I'm going to clean out the pan after every trial of this Maya dust, so it's not combined with anything that's already in the pan when I light it. Now that went up like I would expect Fatwood to do. It burned fast, it burned pretty high, and had plenty of black smoke. Okay, this is Fatwood shavings from Cabot Bluegill, Vermont Fatwood. Burns very fast, very high flame. Black smoke, not as smoky as the other one, I would dare say. I mean, there's a nice black line of smoke coming off of it, but nothing like the other one. The other one had a lot more black smoke. And then, as you can see, this is also burning out very fast. And it was basically the same size pile. They're all the same size piles. So that's Vermont Fatwood. This is John Capps, and this is Texas Fatwood shavings. Again, not the fault of the Fatwood. It's me and the difficulty maneuvering these big items around in front of the camera. That's a very bright. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera. That is so bright I had to back away from it. Okay, we got lots of smoke. I would say the smoke is comparable to the first one, the one that was from Georgia. And again, this is burning very fast. Okay. Burn time seems to be not very long. So far, I think Georgia pine burned the longest. And there it is, it's out. So, very smoky like the first one, but it had a brighter flame, I believe, than any of the other two. Alright, this one is Pine Fire Fatwood shavings. Burns very fast, a lot of smoke. Tall flame. Also burns bright, it's burning very fast. Okay, and it's almost out. Similar to the rest, I would have to say. And on to the last. Finally, big box store Fatwood shavings. Now those were right on sparks, so I'm not blaming the ferro rod on that failing to start, because I was hitting that with lots of sparks, so it took a little while for that to get going. Now that it has, though, you can see it's got lots of black smoke. The flame itself is short. It's kind of strange, because I made the piles pretty much identical. But the flame on that did not get big, and it's almost burned out already. Okay. That was kind of a surprise. As dark as it was, it seemed like that would be an indication of how resinous it was, but it burned out pretty quickly. Flame never really did get bright or tall, and it went down quickly. Okay, this is the matchstick test. Now, granted, I can't get them all exactly the same size. What I'm looking for with this test is how fast it goes up, how much it snap, crackles, and pops. which to me is a great indication that it's really good fatwood when it does that. If for those of you who have ever had some particularly good fatwood, it makes this, it sizzles and snap, crackles, and pops, I guess. And I'm sorry about all that noise in the background. Trixie's decided to make a racket because I'm not looking at her. So she's dragging her litter box around. In fact, I'll show you what she's done real quick. She has a pad in there that she's allowed to, that's like a, yeah, see, she's moving her litter box. It's actually under the pad. She put the pad over the top of her litter box, and she's moving her box all around inside the cage. Yes. Now she's going to hide because she sees what I know what she's up to. There she is. Yeah, what are you doing in there? Nothing. Nothing at all. I'm just walking around the cage. Innocent. Sorry about that. Innocent. All right, now we're back. So this is Georgia pine, a matchstick. Let me see if I can get this camera. It's the new camera, and I'm still learning how to work it. And focusing on things is still pretty tricky yet. So you can see it has a nice heavy thick line of resin in it. Let's go ahead and, there she goes again with the box. Let's light this up and see what happens. One of the good things about doing this test today, it smells really good in here. You can see it snap, crackling, and popping. Black smoke. Hopefully that's a good good view of it. Okay, let me blow that out. And we'll go on to the next one. Alright, here's my matchstick that I made from Cabot Bluegills, Vermont Fatwood. And let's see how this burns. And right away you see that it's sizzling. Lots of black smoke. And I don't think I'm going to be able to get that on camera. But I can see it's wet where the resin is dripping out of the wood in there. And I'm pretty sure... I don't know if I'm going to be able to show that. Nope. I'm going to get the camera all smoky. But it's like very wet. It's as the resin is coming out of it. Alright, let me blow his out. Alright. This is actually staying lit. I did let the other one burn longer, but this one is still a charcoal, if you can see it. The other one, as soon as I put it down, it was out. And I actually set it off over there on the paper. His is like a coal. It's still glowing. Yeah. And I was trying to show you that it's wet, but I just can't get this camera. Right there, now you can see how it was wet from the resin. As it burned, the resin was leaking out of it, leaching out. And it is still glowing. Wow. Okay, I'm trying to set that to the side there. Alright, this is, I'll use the fatter piece because it'll seem fairer, I think. That's about the diameter the other ones were. This one is a piece of John Capps' Texas Fatwood. There. And let's see how this burns. Can you hear that? Wow. I can only tell you, I hope the audio is picking this up. It is making a lot of racket. It's sizzling, bubbling, black smoke, and it's very noisy. And it also is leaching out the resin. It's you can see it's wet in there from the resin coming out of it. But so far, this is the only one that makes noise. Alright, let's see if this one stays out. And it has. Okay. Yeah, it's out. Now, the only one that didn't go out and continued to glow like a charcoal was Cabot Bluegill. Ooh, that smells interesting. Huh. His Texas Fatwood has a different smell than the other ones. I have a really, really good nose, too, by the way. And it smells something different than the others. Alright. Next, we have moved on now. We are on to Pine Fire Fatwood, which is from North Carolina. And I'll light the thicker end like I did with the others. Black smoke, you can see it's flickering. I don't see, there it is, it just started. I can see the resin coming off of it. Yeah. Let's see if I can turn it around here and you'll be able to see it better. Right in there, you can see the resin melting up. It almost looks like if I turned it, it would drip right off, but it's not. It's not making any noise. Okay. And I blew out Pine Fires. Oh, and that smells really, really good. It's very strong. The smell on Pine Fires is very strong. Alright, here we go with big box store, we'll call it. What do you know? This makes noise too. Black smoke, big flame. I can see it, the resin melting in there just like the other ones. And it also makes noise like the one from Texas. What a surprise that is. It's also burning very fast, so I gotta blow it out. Alright. And it wants to have a coal. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Alright, so I just showed you Georgia pine, Vermont pine. I should say Fatwood, I shouldn't say pine, because it could be a spruce, who knows. Georgia Fatwood. But they called it Georgia pine, I believe, when I bought it. This is Fatwood from Vermont. This is Fatwood from Texas. Fatwood from North Carolina, and Fatwood from God only knows. I have no idea. One of the sites that we were reading about, my son and I, said that it was called North. One of them says Northwoods on the bag, as trying to allude to that it comes from the north, which when we are northeast of the country, being in New York State, I don't know what north means other than Alaska or Canada. So I'm not sure what Northwoods means. My son thought that it was an allusion to where the wood was from. I said that it was my understanding that this wood that comes from the big box stores, I had read the article that it came from South America somewhere where they do this big forestation deal and they go through with something that chops up the stumps and makes all those uniform pieces of fatwood. In any case, Which one is the best value? Well, it's obvious. If you can find it free in your backyard, that's the best value. For the rest of us in the country that don't have it, have not found it on our searches, we have to go find it from other places. So either you get it from the kindness of strangers, or you have to buy it. In my case, as I said, this was given to me from Cabot Bluegill. He sent some chunks for me, and every time I get Fatwood, by the way, I split it up between me and my son. And he uses his with the kids, and I kind of save mine for my projects. But Cabot Bluegill sent me a couple of chunks of his Fatwood from Vermont. John Cap sent me Texas Fatwood, a box of it that was very generous. I purchased Pine Fires. I purchased this from eBay. And I also purchased Big Box Store Fatwood. Obviously, the Big Box Store was the cheapest, as that there is a 4-pound bag. And like I said, I bought it from Randy, who bought it originally, and he says he recalls it being something like $4 or $5 for the bag. Recently, I did go to Home Depot, got a bag almost identical to that, and I paid $6 for it. eBay, that was a medium-sized box. I believe they advertised it as 20 pounds. I think that box weighed 20 pounds, and it was $20. I said 10 the first time around. I'm pretty sure it was more than that. But anyway, it was a UPS medium box. It was $20 for the box. So that was like $1 a pound, I guess. So yeah, I guess that's what that would average out to be too. The Big Box Store averages out to be about $1 a pound. Okay. So far, which do I like the best? Hands down, it is John Cap's from Texas. It is the most unusual looking as far as the resin, and I'll go through one by one. It does look, this is Georgia that I have in my hand, and I'm going to set it next to John's, and it does look like it could have come off the same branch. In fact, John's has yellow in it, and this one does not, if you notice it. This appears to have a lot more resin in it, but yet John's has that loud snap, crackle, and pop. Cabot Bluegill. His is an interesting color. I'm sure this is really not going to pick it up very well, but it's a very interesting color. His also doesn't really smell like Fatwood. It just smells like pine, which is pleasant, but it doesn't have that turpentine smell. The one from Georgia, it does. It's faint. But then again, I've had this for over a year, and I store all my Fatwood in zippered plastic bags to try to keep it as fresh as I can. Going back to Cabot Bluegill's, his smells like a freshly cut Christmas tree. John Cap's, his has that turpentine smell on it, the typical Fatwood smell. Come over here to Pine Fire. It is the strongest of the smells of all of them. The one that has the most piney, most turpentine smell is coming from Pine Fire. It's very, very fragrant. And then back here with Big Box Store, really doesn't have a smell. And I've shaved these all to get that Maya dust. And they should smell, it's very faint, very, very faint on that one. So I would say that it's very old. And it does look like it, as opposed to these others. My favorite was John Cap's, hands down John Cap's. The one from Georgia, I would say burns good, smells good. But then when I put it up against Pine Fire, I would have to choose Pine Fire. Because Pine Fire, it smells really good, and it burned really good. And I've had Pine Fire, I've never had a problem with Pine Fire. I've bought it several times. And I like Mike and Casey's small business. I like to support them. So there you are. Which do I like the most? As I said, this one from Texas, because of the way it sizzles, the flame was really, really big and bright. So I don't know what the difference is between what happens to the trees in Texas versus what happens to the trees over on the East Coast. Couldn't tell you. But there it is. There's 5 different kinds of Fatwood, 5 different flames, smells, etc. to show you that it is not all the same. It is different. Depends upon where it came from. There you have it. My comparison about the Fatwood. Now, I had said on several occasions that being in New York State, we have not been able to find Fatwood because I didn't believe we have it here. And then I've had everybody telling me, oh, we have Fatwood in New York State. And they've shown Fatwood, but it doesn't look like, it doesn't burn like, and I don't think it smells like the Fatwood that I've gotten from southern states. Now, my son is addicted to Fatwood even worse than me. As a matter of fact, we just were at Christmas plays to watch the kids singing at school, and he's searching on his phone these sites where it's talking about what causes fatwood to be fatwood, and that not all pine trees or conifers actually carry turpentine in their resin, in their sap. Only certain trees do it. And the number one tree they say does it is longleaf yellow pine. Well, more than longleaf yellow pine does it, obviously, because those are all different kinds of wood that I have sitting on the table over there that I just tested. It does appear to be conifers, which I designate as spruce and red pine, yellow pine, plantation pine. They're all pine trees, and they have sap. They're known for having their sap. What causes the sap to sort of congeal into a certain area at like the knots, or where a branch meets the trunk, or the actual stump? I don't know. But what my son said he had read was the reason it wasn't prevalent in New York State is because our cold temperatures, which winter is usually about 6 months long, prevents that sap from spreading throughout the tree in the way that it does down south, where the temperature is more hot. That the freezing weather we have prevents the resin from permeating the wood to any degree like it is down south. Now, fatwood comes on live trees. It's also on dead trees. The consensus I've read on everybody's kind of videos that I've been seeing is that the best fatwood comes from a dead tree. That the resin no longer flows. If you think of it as blood flowing through the tree, carrying nutrients to the leaves and the buds and the branches, once the tree dies, that stuff sort of settles, much like blood in a body would. So, so my mind thinking is that it has no place to go. It settles back down, and then when a tree falls over, the majority of it would be down towards the bottom of the tree where it settled back down to, and therefore the stump section. Now, some people I've seen have gathered fatwood from an entire tree. The whole length of it had fatwood. I don't know how to explain that, other than it must have been a real juicy tree at one point in time. Cabot Bluegill went out and he was sawing branches off, up above on the trunks, and he was not seeing fatwood, but he said he felt it was because it was a live tree and not a dead tree. Well, I've seen people walk up to a live tree, other videos on YouTube, and they've cut off branches on a live tree, and there was fatwood in it. What I failed to do was start making a list of all these videos and see where those trees were located, what states. And I would dare say Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, those southern states are the ones that can go out, cut a branch off of a pine tree, and there's fatwood. What type of trees does John get? John from Texas? I think he said it was a longleaf yellow pine. I'd have to go back and check his video out and see what type of tree he said it was from. But most people just say pine trees. Just go find a pine tree and start searching, which I've done, and I thought was fatwood. I've seen the orangey color, sappy stuff, but it is not fatwood. It doesn't burn like it. It doesn't smell like it. After it starts burning, it's just sap. It's not impregnated wood like these other woods I just showed you. So I guess why does John's snap, crackle, and pop and make all that noise? His is from Texas. I don't know. Is it because Texas is so dry and hot that it has something to do with the resin being more potent than it is over here in the southern states on the east? I don't know. But that was my video on the comparisons of the fatwood. I wanted everybody to see that it's not all the same. And it is different. Depends on the geographical location you're in. And the other one is I know that the southern states like Georgia and things, they were saying that they have more of a rainfall over there than per se Texas does. Does that affect it? I don't know. So it's just things to consider. And in any case, for all you fatwood addicts, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, because I enjoyed making it, and it smells so good in here.